Welcome back, everyone, to another Company of Heroes 2 replay cast. And we are we're looking vertically at the HQ of who sent it in, who is Standard Jaeger. Thank you for sending in the replay. And his opponent is going to be David in the right hand side, playing as the USF. Seeing some good lucks have fun and fucks this maps, and that's nice to see because I don't like this map either. So I completely agree with David. And here comes the Kappa, obligatory. Interestingly enough, already going for an MG42 from Standard Jaeger. MG42 team going to be excellent from the church and also from a few buildings in the north side of the map, such as this house. In the southern side of the map, not as many buildings where that can be used, but still a pretty good line of sight that's open everywhere. There essentially is going to grant the MG42 a relevance in the role. However, we do see that David is going for an assault engineer right off the bat, and obviously that means armor company, and he's going to go for a mortar second, so that's probably the weirdest build for USF I've seen in a long time. Assault engineers into mortar. What could this mean? Well, it could mean that he's very afraid of people in buildings, and it could mean that, I really don't know, he may just want to have demo charges. So we'll see. Normal engineers and assault engineers, pretty bad matchup for the Pioneers, and so the Pioneers are going to be retreating. And of course, Standard Jaeger now already knows what the enemy is going to be going for. With those assault engineers, he knows that there's going to be the M10s coming later on, and even the bulldozer Shermans. So he needs to watch out for those kinds of units. Pack guns are going to be very important against such a doctrine, and of course, we can see that Standard Jaeger going for a second Grenadier squad needs to be bringing out the capping power early game to counter the diminished capping power that is going to come out of the assault engineer mortar combination. Of course, assault engineers getting immediately suppressed by the MG42 and forced to retreat is not good for David, and he's going to need to reassess the situation and get some map control under his control, which is kind of redundant, but yeah, you deserve a defeat. I do not know why he deserves a defeat. David does not know why he deserves a defeat either. Why the hell not? Okay, so tons of banter coming in. Banter, obviously very important to distract your opponent from the important things like fuel point. No fuel right now under the control of the Allies, but the rear echelon troops have managed to push up right outside the base of the Americans, or sorry, of the Germans, and they've managed to at least neutralize the point. Also, middle VP neutralized by the Rifleman Squad. Rifleman Squad going to be pushing up to the north, and in the south we do see another engagement with Assault Engineer. Assault Engineer is taking huge amounts of casualties and having to retreat. Not exactly a good start for that unit. He was hoping to get probably a little bit more value out of that in the early game. Of course, the mortar is starting to barrage the Germans and doing some damage, but it's on the Pioneers, so ooh, never mind. 2 kills on the Grenadiers, who have sort of stood still for a little bit too long. That kind of gave the opportunity to the mortar to do its work and destroy that squad very nicely. Well, maybe not completely destroyed, but basically half of the squad is already gone, so gonna be not very effective in combat from now on. And there's just a weird capping order. If we go look at the tactical map, we can see that the Americans have control of just some patches of territory spread out across the map. Same for the Germans, but the Germans are controlling the more important patches of the map, aka the fuel points, and that's kind of preventing the Americans from having a chance at getting a fuel income. Of course, this kind of translates to the fact that the Germans don't exactly have a superiority in terms of resources to the Americans, but at the same time, they have a bit of a better way to come back from that diminished income, because if they just capture fuel points like this strategic point over here to cut off, and if they capture also the VP and this strategic point, then they have a lot more resources, whereas the Americans are going to have to capture a lot more points to get to a decent income. They can capture the strat points, but they are also going to need to capture those resource points, which take longer, obviously, to capture. Finally, the American Riflemen are doing some work in the south side of the map, doing some harassment along with the combat engineers, the rear echelon troops. And that's going to be nice for the American player. However, he needs to be sort of mounting up the pressure and making sure that the Germans don't have time to build up, such as what Standard Jaeger is doing right now with the Tier 2 and the 222 Scout Car. 222 Scout Car are going to be excellent against some of these weaker American units. There goes a Grenadier squad completely wiped out by the Assault Engineer flank. Probably the mortar had something to do with it, because, well, David is very happy about that wipe. I'm not sure as to exactly what happened, but I'm guessing that the mortar had something to do with it. Also, a demo charge on the cutoff. Very good job by David, knowing that he wanted to. Well, he might want to come in and capture his point. And ooh, 222 might actually wipe out the rifleman. We'll see if the MG42 and the 222 count autocannon. Yep, there it goes, completely wiping out the rifleman squad. Very good job. And right now, almost losing the armored car because he stopped microing it for a second because he was typing, and he might run into some. Oh, actually, that was the only squad that was equipped with the anti-tank rifle grenades. That was the only Vet 1 squad. So no more anti-tank rifle grenades for the Americans. But the armored car is going to go down to the assault engineer M3 grease guns. So tons of weird action happening all over. Another mine going down. Actually, this one is a German one from the pioneers from Standard Jaeger. He also has the hazard removal package available, and that's going to be great to spot the demo charges and destroy them. We'll see that if Standard Jaeger decides to go for that cutoff point, then he's going to make a very good choice. Now, Captain already upgraded with bazookas and a second mortar coming from David. I don't exactly agree with the second mortar. I think that he should have gone for a quicker tier 3 unit, such as the anti-tank gun. He's going to be going for the Stuart right now, but an anti-tank gun wouldn't have been bad, whereas I don't think he needs a second mortar. Right now, his anti-infantry coverage, maybe, well, I said that, and he instantly gets a wipe on the engineers. Here comes a stun grenade from the elite troops doctrine. So we now both know, the doctrines that we'll be going for. Both players obviously going to be countering each other if they can. Obviously, the Tiger Ace is going to be vulnerable to the Jacksons, but we'll see whether or not David decides to go for that unit, because he's also got the swarm of M10s available to him. And there goes the demo charge from... was it? Could it be that the mortar accidentally detonated the demo charge? Because I don't think the engineers saw the demo charge. They got wiped way too quickly to see it. Stuart is on the field, and right now Steiner Jaeger immediately purchases a pack, and I don't think that that's a bad idea, but I also don't think that it's going to be enough to counter the Stuart. Stuart with a very nice camo scheme, but it's going to get completely Panzerfausted into oblivion by the Grenadiers from the trees. So Grenadiers doing their Vietnam work and coming in with an ambush on the Stuart. Stuart is going to need to do something to get out of the enemy territory, especially if the machine gun gets armor-piercing incendiary rounds, which it isn't going to, but if it had, then that would have been pretty bad for Stuart. Finally, the Americans doing something and capturing the southern side of the map. They also have captured the northern side of the map with the captain and the assault engineers, so that was a very good play by David. Going to be grabbing the resource supremacy for a while, at least until the Germans can muster up a force to capture one of those two areas of the map. And it's going to also be very nice because he's also forced away the MG, and right now, two of the units that the Germans have are support weapons, so they're not going to be quite as useful at attacking as they are at defending. And right now, there isn't really quite much that the Germans can defend. Two Panzer Grenadiers from Standard Jaeger are going to be okay, but the Panzer Grenadiers, they're good, but at the same time, you're going to be expensive to maintain and of limited use if you cannot get them into close range with the riflemen. And especially if the Stuart comes in and tries to attack them when they don't have Panzerschrecks, that's going to be bad. Of course, I think that he's going to be waiting the munitions for the Panzerschrecks and not upgrade his Grenadiers with either the G43s or the MG42. I think he's going to be going for at least one Panzerschreck-equipped Panzer Grenadier, because he really needs something to counter the Stuart other than the pack gun. Pack gun, good enough, but at the same time, it's pretty easy to flank, as we can see. If the pack gun just makes a very slight mistake in positioning, it could be pretty bad. But here comes the Panzerfaust from the Grenadiers right in the middle of the base. This is going to be the end of that Stuart. There's pretty much no way other than an extremely lucky miracle shot on the pack that completely decrews it. But even then, the other squads would be able to completely recrew it without the Stuart being really able to do much about it. Right now, the Americans are at least making use of the distraction and capturing more points around the map. Pack is quite confused as to what to do. Stuart are going to be trying to get around the infantry company, and the Pack shoots its own building instead of hitting the Stuart at point-blank range. Very lucky for the Stuart. Almost wipes out the Vet 1 Grenadier squad that was trying desperately to reinforce, and maybe even... No, looks like the machine gun wasn't really in danger. But yeah, very close to wiping out a squad, doing a lot of damage to German units, causing a lot of distraction, especially. So while it wasn't exactly ideal to lose that Stuart in that way, that was okay because he has kind of taken advantage of it. When you do something like that, oh, you shouldn't buy another Stuart. But when you do something like that, you always need to take advantage of it and try to turn a mistake into a good opportunity. Clicked on the wrong commander. Well, it appears like the wrong commander is going to be useful later on because of the Tiger Ace. Now, speaking of the... Whoa! Another 222? And another Stuart? What is going on with the light vehicles this game? I mean, as much as I like light vehicles, I think this is a little bit too much. Of course, I kind of see why he would go for a 222 for a recon vehicle with the Vet 2, improving the vehicle sighting. There goes the Stuart again, and the assault engineers will be going down quite quickly to the fire of both the 222 and the MG42. So there goes that valuable squad for David. And yeah, so he really needs to mount some kind of offensive and capture some points around the map. Whereas David, I guess he's doing fine. There's tons of demo charges all over, so the loss of that Minesweeper is going to be felt for Standard Jaeger. And right now he really needs to be stopping to buy these light vehicles. That's as much as I like those light vehicles, they need some medium or heavy tanks. I mean, of course, David was going for the M10 Wolverine, which is why he was going for all those Stuarts. And there goes the pack gun again, and gets stolen, actually, by the Americans. We'll see if the pack gun can be recruited and sort of brought back to the American base. That would be extremely good for the Americans, because this Stuart is going to die. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Another pack gun being bought by Standardjäger, and also there are no more Grenadiers, but I think that Stuart is not going to be able to wipe out the pack before the pack does its work, assisted by the HQ's reinforcement. And there's also a M10 Wolverine tank destroyer on the field, but it's gonna be basically just shooting at the base buildings, which isn't really that useful. He could be trying to use it to sort of run over the the German squads, but in the base it's a little bit hard to do that because they can just perpetually retreat back to base and make themselves invulnerable. Interestingly enough, he actually misclicked on the bunker. There's an MG42 bunker right now. Or maybe he's just afraid that the bunkers were gonna go down from the Stuart pushes and wanted some kind of extra defenses to suppress anyone. I don't know. Could be both. Vehicle crew being used to both repair and capture the point at the same time with a little bit of a misclick, unfortunately. That could have been a very nice play, but he's still going to use the vehicle crew for that manner, which is one of the things that Americans can do extremely well. And right now, there are 300 points left for the Germans. That's going to be okay, but David really needs to be pressing the advantage, and going for a bulldozer Sherman is going to be okay, because right now, Standardjäger is definitely lacking on vehicles. And that's, in general, something that he should have paid a little bit more attention to. He had an opportunity, a window of time, where he could have gotten out that bulldozer Sherman and done some very good work with it, but unfortunately he decided to go for the 2 Stuarts and the M10, which wasn't exactly the best decision, and he's also kind of let the Germans recrew some of their support weapons in base, and instead of bringing back the AT gun to use as his own, he decided to just sort of leave it to the Germans. So the Germans now have a bit of a chance to come back into this game, especially because they've managed to rebuild their forces. And now they've got a bit of a chance to actually go and capture some points, which could be a good thing for the Germans. That is, unless they lose units while doing so, which it almost happened to this Panzer Grenadier, but the Panzer Grenadier managed to escape. And now the machine gun, still alive up to Vet 2, is going to be a very good asset for the Germans, because the Americans have a bit of a blob coming in. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So vehicle crew being upgraded with the Thompsons. One of my favorite things to do is to spam M10s. Spam M10s and then get the vehicle crews with the Thompsons. But it's not like particularly good, obviously, but it's funny. It's really funny when you have that and you just run in with the M10s and the enemy thinks, oh, I'm gonna use my packs, to destroy the M10s. Then you just roll in from the flank, you dismount, and you just kill them with the vehicle crew Thompsons. Looks like vehicle crew Thompsons actually completely demolishing the machine gun thanks to the fact that the on me ability from the captain essentially allowed the vehicle crew to push up with impunity. It looks like the vehicle crew managed to secure, no, not secure the MG42. Captain might be going down from the Panzergrenadiers. Panzergrenadiers gonna be fired on by the mortar, but the American mortar is not gonna be able to finish them off, and the second Panzergrenadier squad completely executes the captain. Very, very good job from these Bet 2 squads. And here comes the M10, now crewed by a rear echelon troop. Now crewed by a rear echelon troop, of course, trying to run over the Panzergrenadiers. Panzergrenadiers very wisely going to be retreating out of that. Right now, the Tupac from Standardjäger is sort of waiting and tries to shoot through the building's ruins to do some nice damage on the M10. Something definitely did damage the M10. I'm not sure if it was the Tupac shot, but who knows. Yeah, right now the Americans are sort of licking their wounds, trying to rebuild. Not really quite sure as to who has the advantage right now. If we're going by VPs, definitely the Americans. If we're going by resources, definitely the Americans. But there's still that Tiger Ace to think about. The Tiger Ace right now, yeah, as much as that is a little rude, I completely agree. I mean, the Americans should have been finishing this game a long, long time ago, but they've kind of teetered around the edge for a little bit too long. And now here comes a Panzer IV from Standardjäger. This is actually a move that I completely agree with, because the Panzer IV is going to be quite good against the M10, despite the fact that the M10 is indeed a tank destroyer, and the Panzer IV is a tank, because, well, the M10's armor is extremely weak, and the Panzer IV's armor sometimes is able to defeat the rounds from that 76mm? I believe it's a 76mm. Don't think it's a 90mm. Well, it looks really fat. It might be a 90. I'd go with a 76 or a 75. Can't actually remember. Damn, I'm retarded. Does it say? No. Free-inch gun. I don't speak American, so I do not know what free inches are. But yeah, essentially, because of the M10's kind of lackluster performance sometimes, the Panzer IV is actually not that bad of an idea. Plus, supported by the packs, it's going to be very good. If it can use the Panzer, if the Panzer IV can be used to bait for the packs, that's going to be great, luring in the M10 into an ambush. And then, if the Tiger Ace comes out, then having a Panzer IV, sort of having to wait a little bit longer for the Tiger Ace, and then having a Panzer IV to support it is going to be much better than having nothing to support Tiger Ace. This is always something that I would always recommend you do when you're playing with the Elite Troops Doctrine. You always want to have other units supporting Tiger Ace. Never rush for the Tiger Ace alone. You always want to have some kind of thing around it, because when you buy that, the resource penalties are so severe that you usually can't get out other troops to support it, and then support those units, if that makes any sense. Support as in pay for their upkeep and then replenish them. And keep them replenished. So you really don't want to have a Tiger Ace and then no other big units. And while the Panzer IV isn't really a big unit, it's better than nothing. Right now, finally Standardjäger making some progress in the south of the map, capturing some points using the AT guns actually to capture the strategic point. That's very good. And the AT guns are definitely lining up in a very, very good ambush spot for the M10. Second M10 coming in, going to be trying to take out that Panzer IV. Panzer IV going to be shooting and wasting some rounds on the MG. First M10 goes down to the Panzer IV, or sorry, to the PAX 75mm fire, and the second M10 might be destroying the Panzer IV, but it also takes a very good attack round from the Tupac. And here comes, oh no, that's the American demo charge. American demo charge might be detonated by a random shot from the pack. Who knows? Here comes, oh, Tellermine completely destroys the M10. Very, very nice exchange for the Germans, completely destroying the American armored force. However, the Americans have 213 fuel to replace those tanks, and Standardjäger only has 47 fuel. And the Americans have 40 fuel income compared to the Germans as 10. So while it may look on paper to be a very good exchange for Standardjäger, maybe that wasn't exactly the best engagement possible. Though it's definitely better than losing the Panzer IV for nothing, or for only one M10. There goes another rear echelon troop, and there goes another rifleman squad. Almost, no, completely. So right now, actually, David is losing squad after squad. I think he lost like 3 riflemen. Let's go to the units. He lost 6 riflemen and an assault engineer and 3 rear echelon troops. That's ridiculous. Losing infantry like that is especially bad as the Americans because it's expensive infantry and it relies on veterancy to keep their effectiveness at a cost-effective level. So you really don't want to be paying upkeep for Vet 0 riflemen at 28 minutes into the game. You really don't want to be buying new riflemen at 280 price tag when they're going to be coming out with a Vet 0. In general, it's just a bad situation compared to the Germans. If the Germans lose a squad or 2, that's fine. It's not good, but it's fine because they can regain their veterancy a little bit easier, and also they aren't quite as expensive to buy and reinforce. So, in general, Steiner Jaeger has a bit of a better thing in that regard. And here comes the trump card of everyone who is ever in a bad situation. Tiger Ace, 75 VPs, doesn't really matter when the Tiger Ace is around, because if the Tiger Ace has only infantry to face with no AT, there's no AT right now for the Americans, then the Tiger Ace is going to be able to just plow through everything that the Americans have, and he's going to be trying to actually run over the Lieutenant, it seems. Lieutenant takes huge amounts of damage from the 88mm main gun, and that's going to be pretty much the end of the American presence on the map, I feel like. Unless the Tiger Ace runs into a mine, but there's no there hasn't been any M20s, so no mines are going to be around. There are the demo charges somewhere. There's a couple of demo charges. Those could do something, but in general, it seems like the Germans are going to be able to recapture some of the points. What I would do if I was Steiner Jaeger is that I have 3 squads of infantry, right? I would send 1 to the North VP, 1 to the Middle VP, and 1 to the South VP. Because the Americans can't defend all of them, and especially with the Tiger Ace on the field, they can defend one, then you come into that one with the Tiger Ace, you completely destroy all of the defenses, and then you capture every one. Now, the Jolly Wildcard is this lovely demo charge in the south, but it looks like a very good job for Steiner Jaeger, kind of anticipating something like that, went around and vaulted over the fence and pushed from a different direction, and that saved this Panzergrenadier squad's life. Very good play with that. And he's going to be using the Pack-On to support the Tiger. Tiger already up to 11 infantry kills. Looks like the Grenadier was trying to move up in the north, was gunned down by the MG42, so treachery, the Reich's weapons being used against German soldiers. But as long as the Germans keep the control of sort of 2 points, that's going to be fine, really, because they don't really need anything else now, do they? So having that is going to be enough. However, it would be better to have a triple cap for the Germans. Very good buy from Steiner Jaeger with the Pioneers. He needs something to repair the Tiger Ace in case that gets damaged. In fact, I would go with 2 Pioneers because right now he really doesn't need any combat units with the Tiger Ace on the field and with no real thing on the American side. There goes the machine gun. No real thing on the American side can really face this or destroy it. So really, he just needs support units, and the Pioneers with those Minesweepers are going to be excellent, just in case his opponent is going for the sneaks with the demo charges. And here comes a Lieutenant. The Lieutenant might be able to do pretty well against the Panzergrenadiers. It looks like a couple of bazookas were bought from the American player, but those aren't going to be enough against the Tiger Ace. Not nearly enough. Partially because of the excellent effectiveness that the Tiger Ace has against infantry, and partially because of the decent frontal armor of the thing. Oh, here comes the demo charge. Way too early was detonated, and that could have been a wipe on that Vet 2 Panzergrenadier, but thanks to the fact that it was a little bit too early on detonation, one of them managed to escape and get back to base to tell the tale to his grandchildren. Of course, who isn't going to tell the tale to his grandchildren are these poor bazooka men who are trying to face the Tiger from the front and are basically being turned into sauerkraut for their troubles, and that's not exactly what you want to happen when you're an American player with 420 fuel, because when you're at 420 fuel, you want to be able to spend that delicious amount of fuel. That's not just because it's 420 fuel, it's because it's a lot of fuel. He needs some way to get that fuel sort of being productive, instead of having to constantly reinforce his infantry. What I would have done if I was in his shoes is that really the most important thing for him would have been to sort of keep his troops alive, and then wait until he can get out something like 6 M10s, right? Well, maybe more like 5 would be a more realistic number, and then just bum rush the Tiger Race, destroy it, or maybe even better would be to completely erase it from the presence on the map without killing it. For example, if he managed to deal like 90% of the HP and damage and get a couple criticals on it, and it escaped, that would be fine, because guess what? The Tiger Race, as long as it's alive, it's completely crippling the fuel income and the manpower income of Standardjäger. So if he had that sort of trump card of having the Tiger Race be alive with almost no HP, then Standardjäger wouldn't have been able to bring out any more units while he was repairing the Tiger Race, and David could have used that opportunity to regain control of the map. Or an alternative, killing the Tiger Race and then retaking control of the map regardless. Instead, what has happened was that he has allowed the Tiger Race get more time to shine on the field, and he has allowed the Germans to get control of all 3 VPs. So right now, the Americans have only 5 minutes left on the clock before they go down and basically burn in hell for their sins. Their sins allowing the Germans to get the triple cap. Never allow anyone to get a triple cap on you. Never allow someone's Tiger Race to sort of... Oh, that's a very nice usage of the Tiger Ace with the attack round. Wants to scout out for the demo charges. Doesn't want to wait for the minesweepers to come up. He, in fact, could have waited for the minesweepers to come up, but it looks like he has a different choice in mind. I wonder if he had some munitions earlier. Looks like a teller mine is going down. Very good placement of the teller mine. Exactly in the spot where he used it earlier. Exactly the same spot, and it's a good spot, really, because of the fact that the M10s who are trying to flank the Tiger Race in this position are definitely going to be trying to use this road to get a little bit faster. And here comes another M10, but a single M10 against the Tiger Race is not going to be enough. 4 more M10s are available to the fuel income of David, and he's going to be needing to wait for a few more minutes to get those out, but he really needs to get at least one of the VPs under his control and keep it there. Using the vehicle crew for that is actually a pretty smart idea, because if the Tiger Ace is around, then the Tiger Ace is going to be able to deal tons of damage to the vehicle crew, but the vehicle crew with their Thompsons are actually a fairly effective assault infantry unit and a sort of nice close-range combat troop. So that's going to be better than most other, maybe even all of the other American squads at defending the North VP. Unfortunately, in the center, there's the problem of the Panzergrenadiers almost completely, no, in fact, completely wiping out the lieutenant and going to be flanking the American riflemen. The M10 is going to be trying to flank the Tiger Ace as well, but the Tiger Ace has been doing some very nice hiding. Not enough, though, to save itself from the horde of bazookas and the M10 that are coming in from the rear and the flanks. Of course, the Americans taking huge casualties in this assault might lose yet another rifleman squad if the Panzergrenadiers target focus them, but they focus on the captain when they retreat. I'm not quite sure as to whether or not this is the end of Standardjäger. This the M10. No, you have to be fucking shitting me. That was interesting, but that was amazing. Poetic justice for this M10. Gets a free pass out of jail card with the teller mine not destroying it, and gets destroyed by a stolen bazooka pioneer squad. That was absolutely hilarious. Okay, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that a lot, and I think that Standardjäger also enjoys that quite a lot, because now he also has fuel income and manpower income. Immediately going for 2 machine guns. I actually agree with this decision, because he needs to be protecting his VPs from random harassment maneuvers from the Americans. Here comes a grenade from the rifleman, completely misses, in fact, and does not kill the gunner. That was a big mistake. When you want to grenade someone, you want to kill the weapon team. You want to kill the gunner of the weapon team, so that the animation of the guy coming up and taking his place comes in, and that's a second or two that your troops can use as a relief to have some more time to maybe flank it around the arc of fire, do something like that. And yeah, the second machine gun would be better placed somewhere like over here. Maybe be around here of these carts so that they have enough line of sight to look at basically all of the VP. I don't think placing a machine gun facing down from about this area to this area would be a good decision, because then you can just flank it from here, and that's kind of pointless. In general, though, the 2 machine gun purchase is actually a decent choice. What right now would be the best choice for the Americans would be a bulldozer, but right now David does not know that, and he should probably be afraid of some kind of big German tank coming out, like a Panther. So I feel like David is going to be going for more M10s, despite the fact that that's not exactly the best choice. Literally, the bulldozer will be quite fine for now, supported by AT guns, which is something that I feel like David was definitely lacking. AT guns, both because he built one mortar too many, and because he built a little bit too many rifleman squads because he kept losing them. Very nice play from Standardjäger. Sees that the riflemen were laying down a smoke screen to avoid getting themselves suppressed by the MG the MG and then capturing the point. So he moved the MG right into the cap to prevent the cap leader from going up to favor of the Americans, and now managing to sort of regain the control of the point thanks to the Panzergrenadier intervention, and moving back the MG to have a bit of a better line of sight on the forces of the Americans. So that's going to be pretty... commit suicide. It's going to be a pretty difficult situation, let's just say, for David. He needs to do something about this Panzer IV, which is going to be fairly easy considering the fact that he has like 6 bazookas, but what's going to be harder for him is regaining control of points and then keeping control of them long enough for those 15 VPs to be tickling down. And here comes a stun grenade. Does not detonate the teller mine as I expected it. If it had detonated, no, you should not have gone into that church. Never a good idea to go into... Whoa! RNG RD? What? Why? Why did he RNG RD in the middle? And why is he not using that as an opportunity? Because Standardjäger moved his forces back. He could have used the RNG RD as an opportunity to capture the middle VP. I'm not quite sure as to why he did not do that. Yeah, essentially, number 1, never go into a crumbling wooden building. Never go into a crumbling building anyhow, but especially also that MG is kind of weirdly placed. Not only because it looks like it's kind of sunk in the snow, but also because it's facing... I do not know why it's facing there. It should be facing there. I don't know. Weird. Just don't go into crumbling buildings, but especially wooden ones, because anything is just going to make them fall and make your infantry fall with them. And yeah, essentially, too many rifleman squads lost equals too many rifleman squads bought equals not enough AT guns bought. That's the Woodstock equation of the day for Company of Heroes, how to play the USF edition. In general, you don't want to be losing 8 rifleman squads. Did he lose 8 in the end? I think so. 7. Yeah, you don't want to be losing 7 rifleman squads. You want to have AT guns to counter the Tigers, to counter anything really, as the Americans, because those AT guns are going to be coming in handy once they get those Sable rounds. Even against the German heavy tanks, they're going to be able to penetrate. And so you don't have to rely on riflemen with bazookas as an anti-tank force, because that kind of opens you up to enemy assault infantry, elite infantry, and the likes. Because when you don't have those VARs, then you don't have those sort of vet-free Terminators that are vet-free riflemen with 2 VARs that are able to counter so cost-effectively the enemy elite infantry. Because these Panzergrenadiers with 340 manpower price tag would stand absolutely no chance against a double BR upgraded vet-free rifleman squad that costs 280. That is the power of the Americans late game, and that is the power that David kind of refused to get and to use. Right now, Standardjäger willing with the 42 kill Panzergrenadier with a BAR and a 40 kill Panzergrenadier. That's ridiculous. That just screams you needed to have more BARs on the American side, because the Panzergrenadiers really rely on that mid to close range damage, just like the BARs. And the BARs, being a weapon that you have to buy and pay for, are better at it. So, I don't know. And they're also on a squad that has more members, 5 instead of 4. And they're also on a squad which has long-range weapons, the Garands. Although the Garands are more of a medium-range weapon, still, you know. Lots of reasons why that is quite interesting. And here comes the M10, gonna be going on another teller mine. This time the teller mine does not fail to Fatherland, and that's gonna be going down in flames and smoke. I want bacon right now because that site is making me hungry. And right now, here comes another RNG RD, but it's not enough because right now, Steiner Jaeger actually very nicely deciding to hold 2 VPs, holding a sort of... It's an interesting strategy. Oh god. Fucking Lucker. What? What happened? Oh, okay, so that was a stolen American... Well, not sure what luck that was. You cannot destroy bazookas. I'm sorry, Steiner Jaeger. You cannot destroy dropped squad weapons. That's actually very unfortunate. It would make sense for that to be a thing. And oh, the Panzer IV bounces off the first round from the M10. M10 taking a lot of shots from the 37mm of the Austin in the rear, and also managing to destroy finally the Panzer IV. Still more rear armor hits. Here comes the pack guns. The Tupac doing quite a bit of damage to the M10. What? Again, I've never seen that happen twice in one game. Relic, please. Holy hell. What are these faulty teller mines? Man, must have been built by the slave labor. Man, shit. These must have been, like, completely sabotaged in the factory lines. Seriously, what the hell is this? That's not okay. That's actually really not okay, because that's 2 M10s that should have died. Well, I mean, one of them did die, but he deserves to die twice. You know, yeah, there's actually a lot of people that deserve to die twice, but, you know, that's kind of nice that the M10s are able to just get off with whatever. That's so weird. I've never seen 2 in one game. I'm actually completely astounded by that. I'm scratching my hair right now if you can't hear that. That's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, good strategy by Steiner Jaeger, actually. In a way. He decided to hold 2 VPs for certain, rather than have his forces sort of spread out like peanut butter on a sandwich over 3 points, where maybe one of the points could have been breached, and then another one could have been breached by consequence, and like that, and then he could have lost because of that. He decided to go with a more conservative approach of holding 2 VPs and holding them well. And there goes a Stug, completely countering the M10s. 2 M10s gonna be dying out. A bulldozer again. I'm so sorry for Data that he did not go for a bulldozer. That would have been so good against the pack guns with a good flank. Would have been so good against the Panzer Grenadiers. Would have been so good against, heck, even the Ostwind, because there's nothing the Ostwind can do against the bulldozer. Whereas if the bulldozer actually hits the Ostwind dead on, it's gonna do some damage actually. And so, in general, I feel like there were a lot of things that David could have done to win this game. I pretty much talked about them all. Steiner Jaeger played really well in some aspects, but I still think he made a couple of mistakes, such as in the early game, going for all those 2-2-2s was a weird choice, and I feel like maybe preparing for the Stuarts a little bit earlier could have been in his options, although you never know. I honestly can't remember when he saw the captain, if he saw the captain early enough to actually counter the Stuarts, or if he didn't. I do not know. I don't remember. That was like 35 minutes ago, so that was something that I don't exactly have memory of. Other than that, I do kind of enjoy his vehicle play. Not going for the tier 4 was definitely a good decision, because he did not need tier 4 for this game with those M10s being around. He needed tons of vehicles that could match the M10s or go close to matching the M10s in numbers, and bait them into the Tupac, instead of one big vehicle that would just get flanked and maybe swarmed by the M10s. Excellent usage of the Tupacs. Tupacs managing to get quite a bit of experience racked up, one going up to Vet 2 and the other one going up to Vet 1. Looks like a few target weak points were used, although I didn't really see the effects of them too much. Target weak point exceedingly useful against M10s. One problem that I saw with his play was that he kind of left a lot of support weapons hanging around with no effort made to capture them. Lots of mortars especially, and also a couple of machine guns later on that could have been captured and used against the Americans, but in general, those are forgivable mistakes in the late game. In the early game, I don't think none of those mistakes were made, so that's fine. I want to thank y'all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the cast. I'm going to be signing off. Hope you enjoyed and learned something. Tell me in the comments if you have, and I'll see you soon.